Welcome to the 46th episode of the Yarn This podcast. I'm Shama, Jessie's Girl 84 on Ravelry and Instagram. If this is your first time watching, thanks so much for giving me a shot. If you're one of my returning yarnies, thanks for coming back. It means a lot. Today is Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Tomorrow will be my nephew Alton's 16th birthday. I can't even believe it. But anyway, it's been a while. Mostly because of the holidays, exclusively because of the holidays, and it was nothing bad at all. It was actually really good. I just get caught up in it, but that's something we can talk about at the end in 1 week. For right now, let's get into what you're here for, the knitting. We're going to start off with Puppy Love, my works in progress. I have a couple of things that I'm not actively working on. Actually, I've got 4 now. Anyway, so I'm going to show you anyway to kind of catch you up on where I am. One of the things that I've got on the needles and I'm going to start working on probably about 30 minutes a day is I want to do more ornaments this year. I love Arnie and Carlos ornaments, which I'm sure if you've watched before, you know me. I love Arnie and Carlos, especially their ornaments and things. But anyway, this is their horse Christmas ball, and I think it was from their 2020 Advent. You can't really tell too much about it from here. The interesting thing about this one is, let me turn it the right way. Usually, most of their ornaments, it's split into 4 pieces, so you have the same design on 4 sides, basically. But this one is just 2. So this is the beginning of the horse, right? No. I'm sorry, this is the beginning of the horse. I think this is the tail and then the legs. So I'm just getting into the body here. And then there's going to be some duplicate stitch. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Let me pause you so I can show you a picture of the finished one without showing you the pattern. Hold on. Okay, I was mistaken. It is this year's, 2022's Advent yarn ball. And I'm going to show you a picture of the finished one, and they're round, so it's kind of hard to get the whole thing, but there you go. So that's what I'm working on. I will be doing the main the duplicate stitch part, which is this right here and that. I'll be doing that in the blue. I just pick colors. I don't necessarily go with reds and greens. Sometimes I do. I have one I'm going to show you that I knitted from this year's calendar that is red, white, and green, just like they did them, and it's beautiful. I'm tempted. I'm very tempted, but at the same time, I'm not good at just sticking with one color. I like a lot of colors. So, anyway, and I did do a couple of others this year. I did do a couple of others of their ornaments this year. Sorry, my tablet shut down. And I'll show you those in my finished objects. But anyway, I've got this probably more than halfway or right at halfway done. And I've made a couple of mistakes, so I had to go back and fix them. I think I jumped ahead a row. So anyway, I can't figure out how to get these on, what is wrong with me today? Knit Companion. I don't know if I've talked about that. I use it some, but I don't know how to get these on there because I bought them from Arnie and Carlos's website. I'm sure that I could watch a video. I think Very Pink Knits has some tutorials on Knit Companion. Anyway, I love Knit Companion, and it would be a lot easier because there's a bar. If you've never used it, there's a bar that you can slide down that highlights the row that you're on. So that's what I need for these. It just would make it a little faster for me. I don't do well keeping my place. Anyway, so there's this, and I promise I'll speed up from here. The next thing that I have on the needles is my twists and turns, which once November hit, I kind of gave up on it. Not gave up on it, I just stopped working on it. I knew I wanted to finish it, but I never even finished Clue 2, and I know I showed y'all in an earlier episode, I showed y'all the colors, the yarn that I was using. So I'm not going to go back over that again, but I will show you what I've done. So here's the first section. I already finished that. The weird noises you hear are my dog rolling around and making noises on the floor. Here's the first part of section 2. Right here. It was really nice. And my friend found somebody gave them, not gave them, but wrote out a way to do the second half so you weren't purling more. I don't mind purling that much, but it did make it go a little bit faster. So I've got that if anybody needs it. Just get in touch with me. Oh, I guess I should give y'all my email address. I'll do that in the show notes. Let me write this down. Okay. And here I started the cables. And I didn't finish the row. But here I am on the cables, which they're one of my favorite things in the world to knit. So I'm super excited about this section. I'm having a hard time because it's an unfinished row. There we go. That's a little better. And I am going to do the I-cord to pull through it. But I plan to make a lot of progress. This is one of the first things I plan to finish, big projects I'd like to finish this year because of other things that I want to do. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so the other thing that I have that is going to be sporadic. I'm going to be sporadic with it, so I'll only be showing you when I actually work on it. Was the yarn from my advent calendar. The pattern is a very mix-up shawl? Very merry mix-up shawl. I don't know if I wrote that down correctly. By Corey Eichelberger, who is Aurora Knits. And the yarn I'm using is Crystalsky's hand-dyed in this year's Advent, and it's Harry Potter themed. I really intended to bring those yarns up for you. I still have them in a box under the Christmas tree, under my Christmas tree with the yarn balls on it, Christmas balls. But anyway, it's in her acetate, I don't know, sparkle. And these yarns are gorgeous. I will get pictures or something and show you. What I ended up doing is as I opened them, I put them in a baggie and I wrote the day and the name of the yarn on it. Because this shawl is one that you work halfway and then you start at the other end and knit to halfway and then join in the middle. So this is all I've done on it. This was the first few days. I actually kept up the first 2 or 3 days. You start off with twice as many stitches on the first, which is this, and I believe this color was gillyweed. And then I can't tell you from there. I can't remember, but then you decrease to about half for the second section. And it's knit on the bias. So it's very, very easy, but this is the width of it. You can't really see it that well, maybe a little bit. It's gonna be kind of rectangular, probably more of a scarf length actually when I get through with it, but I don't care. I have several like that. And I'm just joining the yarns in the order that I opened them. I don't mind a kind of a scrappy type situation, but these yarns are so beautiful. Oh, and you know they're Harry Potter, so let's see, is there one in here? The only one I left in here was the one I'm actually working on, and that's the Flying Car colorway. This was day 5, so that's all I got to was day 5. But here it is. It's just beautiful. Her yarns are so beautifully dyed, and I'll put a link to her shop down in the show notes. You will love her yarns, and I've knit with them before. I've talked to y'all about them a little bit. I didn't bring up the socks that I finished. Oh well, I'll show those next time. Okay, and the only other thing that I have on the needles is just barely on the needles. I did the, what is it? German twisted cast on last night. And I've done just a very few rows. And it's just a cream color. This is the new, I bought, okay, I am so sorry. I need words today. I bought the Year of Socks from Stephen West. So you get a new sock at the beginning or in each month. Today we got our first full sock pattern, our first one for January. But we had gotten one previously, which I thought was January. So it's like a bonus sock. And it is the Painting Bricks sock. Let me pull this up here. Painting Bricks sock. And you know how Stephen, if you know Stephen West, he finds a pattern that he likes and he'll put it in a sweater and a shawl and a hat, a cowl. And that's what he's doing with these socks. But I love them. And I was trying to decide, and they're kind of scrappy. And I'll show you a picture in just a sec. Trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I had bought this set from Moonglow Yarn, and I forgot the name of it, but I'll put the name of it down below for you to see. But Moonglow Yarn, beautiful yarns, and this was a full skein, this cream color, with 5 minis, and I think it has like a candy name. It's supposed to be a Christmas set. But here are the mini skeins. Just a sec. You know what? I'm going to hold them up in both my hands because actually more like this is how I'm going to do them. I'm going to do the red, the darker pink, the lighter pink, the darker teal, and the aqua. I think these are beautiful. And so I'll show you the sock pattern. And he used 5 scraps or 5 minis in this. This is a sock you could knit over and over and over using up your scraps. And I'm going to talk about scraps too in a minute. Poppy, it's okay. Hi. Hi. Anyway, I've started those last night because I want to try to knit as many pairs of those as I can. I don't necessarily think I'm going to knit all 13 pairs. I'm pretty sure I won't. But I'm super excited. I think once I get past the cuff, this is going to move out quickly. The only thing is that Stephen talks about in the beginning of the pattern to do a folded cuff. Is that what he called it? Yeah, folded hem. And I'm not sure. I kind of like the look of it, but then that means I have to knit twice as much cuff. But we'll see. This weekend on Saturday especially, I really don't have anything going on. So, who knows? I might just sit there and get that done and fold it over and knit it together. It's gorgeous because it gives you a nice thick top to your sock. But anyway, we'll see. And probably the next time I record, I'll hopefully be well into the leg or more. We'll see. So that's all that I have on the needles right now. I have finished a few things over the last few weeks, but not a ton. The first thing is my morning coffee socks, which I left downstairs. So I'll show you those next time. I'll make a note to show next time. It's obvious I haven't recorded in a while because I can't even think. The next thing is Home for Christmas. And that is an Arnie and Carlos ornament. And I think I'm going to do a separate video and show you what I'm going to add to this. But there was a story they told, I think it was the 2020 Advent, about 2 princes going out in their Volkswagen looking for a tree on Christmas Eve. And they were looking and looking, and they said they buy them at gas stations there. I have artificial trees. It's been years and since I was a baby, since we had a real tree because I was allergic. So Mom and Dad just bought artificial trees. And that's all I have. I have 8, 9 artificial trees. So they went out looking for a tree. They finally found one. They were driving home and their car broke down after dark on Christmas Eve, and it was freezing cold. So Arne designed this ornament. And this is another one of the ones that only has the design on twice, like I was talking about earlier. But what I didn't do, and I think I'm going to do because I saw them with this, is put crystals all over the tree like lights. I'm sure I've shown you that. They put crystals on ornaments a few years ago. Now, I don't think they had them on there this year. I'm not sure on the new ones. But once they started me putting crystals on, I can't stop. So what I'd like to do is do a separate video and show y'all how I put them on. I mean, not that I'm an expert or anything, but maybe if you're interested in gluing crystals to something, I could show you how I do it. And I got a gimbal that points down, so I'm going to give that a try and show y'all how to do that. Maybe in this video, it may be separate. I haven't decided yet. The next finished object was the gingerbread ball, and this was again a 2020 ornament from their advent that year. And this is, now this one has the design on all four sides like I was telling you about earlier. I may have to let her out, but she's going to want back in. Anyway, these are gingerbread men. I love gingerbread men. I thought these were so cute. This one, I did use crystals. I put crystals down the buttons, and then I used black crystals for the eyes. On each of them, I did a different color crystal. Let's see, this is kind of a pink color, green, clear. Yes, the clear ones, and then yellow ones. These are so much fun to make. They take some thought because you have to watch the chart, but they're great. The next one I finished was the first one from this year's Advent. I'm going to tell you about a little bit more about the Advent balls in a minute, but this one, they don't name them anymore. They used to give them a name, but this is just, I don't know. But anyway, this was the first one from the Advent this year. And I always use acrylic yarn because I store them and I'm afraid that something's going to get attracted to the real wool. Plus, if I had to use real wool for all the colors, it would cost us thousands of dollars. Really not that much, but a ton of money. So these are all sparkly. They're all Hobby Lobby. And this is the one I was telling you about that I did red, white, and green. But I'm thinking I might go back and put a crystal like right at the top of the heart. Maybe one right in here somewhere. Maybe one in the center of this. Putting crystals on is so much fun. And you can get Swarovski, which I do have a small set of Swarovski crystals that I got back in 2019 when I had my foot surgery. But I still have a ton, but I got some really inexpensive ones. So I'll show you those too when I show you the video. Anyway, I finished two other things. One of them was my Bakery Bears Mystery Knit Along. If you're a patron of the Bakery Bears, then they do an Advent every year on Patreon, and it's like a little video every day. Dan takes you on adventures. You get to go to old churches. You get to go see some scenery, different places that he takes you. Every year he takes you and shows you the new ornament they've bought for their tree because they buy a new one every year. And on alternating days, Kay does a mystery make-along or knit-along. I think it was 2018 was the first time they had done the make-along. And Kay did felt ornaments. And I think I've shown y'all those before. She did a heart, cut it out of felt. And she did two pieces. She makes like a flower, cuts out a flower or whatever you want to cut out and then sews it up to one side. And then puts beads. She beads it a little bit, kind of sporadically, but it's really cute. And then you can embroider the person's name or the year on it or whatever you want to do. And it is really a cute thing. I made those for the girls in the knitting group last year. And you mattress stitch it. Is that what you call that, a mattress stitch? Where you do like a zigzag sort of thing. Anyway, I had never done one before. And I really enjoy that. But she has since done knit-alongs. We've done 2 pairs of socks. I think it was a pair of socks, a cowl, a pair of socks. And then this year they had a theme, which was a Dickensian Christmas. And she based it on A Christmas Carol. And she read a part of the book every day. And so this is Scrooge's stocking, designed by Kay Jones. I knit this on a size 7. Oh, I haven't even been telling y'all what size needles I was using, but it's in my on my Ravelry page, and I'll link those below. I knit this on a size 7, 4.5 millimeter, and the yarns I used were Savvy Skeins, Optimum DK, and Platinum and Denim, and then Uru yarn, Sugared Sport, and Lapis. So we have stockings that I made. I sewed them quite a few years ago, and I love the way they look on the fireplace mantle. So that's what I'm going to keep. But I think I'm going to knit some stockings, and we have some plantation shutters in the living room that are very tall. I think I'd like to just kind of stagger those down and just hang them as a decoration, as a Christmas decoration. So here is the stocking. It's pretty big. So this is how you start. You start off with this day, and this is a Latvian braid, which I've never done before, and I love it. It's not something you'd want to do a lot of because you twist your yarns up so much, but it is a really fun thing to make, and it's a really pretty thing. And then we have this, and I think this was snowflakes, and I'm not going to go through each section because I don't really remember what they were. This was bricks on the fireplace, I think. Christmas trees. And then the heel turn, which was her short row heel. And then down the foot. And then this is just a stitch pattern, not so much a color work, but a stitch pattern. And then the toe. Oh, another Latvian braid, and then the toe. And I stayed up with it. I think this one took me a little bit longer, but there was probably a reason for it, and I can't remember what, because it wasn't difficult to do this. I do color work, so anyway, I love this. I think it's beautiful. I love the colors I chose for it. They're not super Christmassy, but I love the colors I chose. And now I want to knit all of the ones that Arnie and Carlos release one every year, a different stocking. So I think I'm probably going to knit at least 1 or 2 of those throughout the year to hang up next year. My husband was like, why do we need more stockings? I said, they're not for putting things in. I just love Christmas decorations. And I want to have those hanging up. So the last thing that I finished was an actual Christmas Eve cast on. I don't think I've ever done that before. I try every year, but I'm usually trying to finish up an MCAL or something from Christmas. So this year, I found... How did I find her? I get a lot of recommendations on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. I found Taylor Earl. Her podcast is Wool Needle Hands. And her yarn that she does is it Yarn for the People? I'll link all that below. Anyway, she has a pattern that she designed called the Fire Pit Mitts. And I was trying to decide what sock I wanted to cast on Christmas Eve, and I was frantically trying to figure out, and I was going to use the sock yarn that I showed you that I just cast on for the Stephen West socks. And all of a sudden I was like, no, I think I want to cast on these Fire Pit Mitts because I always love fingerless gloves. And these were just beautiful. I did the shorter one. She has 2 lengths. I did the shorter one. The only thing about me and fingerless gloves that kind of go up is that I always have on my watch. But that's okay. I wear it anyway. But here they are. They're plain, except for they roll, which I love the fact that they roll. And they're so cozy. And, oh, I just love them so much. They're a little bit loose, which I also love. I don't like anything that's super tight on me. And the yarn I used was a chick that knits, Knitz, on her sparkle sock. And the colorway is Galaxy. Right? Yes. Now, after I finished this, I was regretting that I didn't have more of this yarn to make into something else. So I went to her website because I don't know when I bought this yarn. And she doesn't have this colorway anymore. But anyway, I took the yarn, and oh, the yarn is held doubled, by the way. I didn't say that. So I took the yarn and caked it up, and then I put it on a scale, and I just hand wound 50 grams of it so that I could just, because I don't like pulling from the outside and the inside at the same time. So here they are, Fire Pit Knits, and you can't see the sparkle. It's not a super sparkly sparkle, but you can kind of see it as you move your hand. I love this color. Anyway, that was the last thing that I finished, and I really, really love this yarn and this pattern. This is the Fire Pit Knits by Taylor Earl, and I'll link all that below. So that's all that I have on the needles that I'm working on. I still have the Fiery Foliage Shawl by Stephen West that I quit working on to work on the MCAL. Once I finish this, I'll pick that one back up. And so now we're on to the final countdown. And the final countdown is things that I'm wanting to cast on. And it's kind of maybe my New Year's idea for casting on. I want to finish the Fiery Foliage after I finish this. And I don't like having two shawls on the needles. It kind of stresses me out a little bit. I'm not just coming unglued or anything, but I want to get that finished. Those two finished, because there's another shawl that I tried to cast on about 1.5 years ago called Flamingo Flavor by Sosu Knits. It's you know what, let me see. I'm gonna pause you and find it. Okay, this is the Flamingo Flavor shawl. Like I said, it's by Sosu Knits, and I'll link that below. The triangles, and probably the edging as well, these triangles in here and the edging are brioche. Well, when I cast this on, or tried to cast this on 1.5 years ago, we were on our way to Ohio to the Profile Hall of Fame, and I had been sick for about 1.5 weeks leading up to that. I mean, sick, fever. I felt terrible. And also, at the same time, I had never knit brioche, so here I am on a trip, just recovering from whatever it was I had, and trying to learn to do brioche all at the same time, and it wasn't going to work. I finally cast on a pair of socks and moved on with my life, but I still have it in a gallon baggie ready to go. So that I really want to be my third shawl after I finish these two, my next shawl after those two. I kind of want to knit the Aurora cabin shawl. It's the Hybrid Knit Along by Stephen West that he's got going on right now. But I just didn't feel like I could add any more shawls on the needles right now. It's a beautiful shawl, and I'll put a picture for you in a link. You can buy just that pattern, or you can buy the whole ebook. Ebooks aren't super inexpensive, so I get, if you don't find several patterns in there that you don't want, why would you buy that? Because I've done that before. I found a pattern that I really like. I'm like, oh, it's in an ebook. Let me see what else is in there. And there have been a lot of times that might be the only one, or maybe one or two, and buying one or two would be less than buying the whole ebook. Now, the Stephen West Year of Socks ebook, I think it's up to $36 now. It started out at $30, but it's got 13 patterns. I think that's a really good deal. So if you love to knit socks, if you love Stephen West like I do, I think that the Year of Socks ebook is a good value if that's something you feel like you can spend your money on right now. And that was the next thing I was going to talk about, is the Year of Socks. I plan to knit as many of those socks as I can humanly get in, and do all the other things that I want to knit as well. So those will be popping up. I may not show you the pictures of the socks right away, because if you do decide to join in, I don't want to spoil anybody, but if I do, I'll tell you about it. Okay, I'm kind of moving along because there's no sense in hanging on to this. The painting brick socks I've already cast on. That was on this list. I wrote it last week. Now, the last thing that I want to start is a scrappy blanket, a granny stripe blanket specifically. I'm not a crocheter, as you know, but I think I could do a granny stripe. I have racked my brain. I don't want to work on my memories mitered square blanket anymore. I don't know why. I just don't. I want to finish it off somehow, what I've done, square it up, make it into a pillow or something. I don't want to rip all that out or throw it away or whatever, because I do have some really good memories of the yarns that are in there. But I think I want to start a granny stripe, because I really need to get through these scraps. I've got so many leftovers from socks and things, and I don't want to throw them away. So I'm gonna start on that. My friend Erin is working on a granny stripe blanket, and if she comes to knit night tonight, she's going to bring it. It is granny stripe by, I should be able to remember. She has a lot of really neat, free, scrappy type patterns. I'll link it below, because once again, I can't think. Poppy. So I want to get that cast on, and maybe very soon, maybe in the next week, so that I can start adding yarns into it. Anyway, so that's all for the final countdown. And like I said, I'll link everything below so that you can see Poppy. She wants to get out and see what's going on outside this room, but then she's going to want back in. Okay, next section is We Are Family. I'm going to talk about things that I've done with my friends, knitting books, because I've shown you the only yarns that I've acquired are my advent calendar, which I will show you next time, and the yarn I showed you that I'm knitting my painting bricks socks in, excuse me. So, before I get started in this, I was going to show you, I'm drinking tea today, because I want to drink another cup of coffee. And I've already had 2, so I decided to just hold off on a 3rd cup. But I bought this at Starbucks recently. I'm always about blue everything, and I thought this was such a pretty mug. And I'm drinking, it's just Bigelow peppermint tea. So, this is what I'm drinking today. I would like to get better about telling y'all what I'm drinking. I have 1,000 cups of coffee. Bags of coffee, and now I also have a Keurig, and my younger son bought me a K-cup drawer for Christmas, and so I've got all these K-cups out where it's a lot easier for me to get to them now, so I'm drinking more of that as well. So I'll try to remember what I've put in my cup and share that with you. Okay, so We Are Family. There's not a lot to tell. We didn't do anything special as far as fiber festivals, because there weren't any. Well, there was one, but we didn't go. We didn't go out of town together. But we do still get together every week. So I think it was Thanksgiving week. We always get together on Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, because Thanksgiving's on Thursday and Thursday's knit night. And we just really enjoy each other's company and friendship. So we get together on Tuesdays, and we've gotten together every week. It's been a lot of fun. We also do, and it doesn't just have to be the people that get together every week. We did a mini skein swap, and I think we only do 25 yards or something, and that's perfect for if you're doing the miter square blankets. I'll add those in to my granny stripe, but anyway. So we got together for that one day at one of the local yarn shops, Yarn Store Boutique, and we went in and shopped, and then we went outside and did our little swap. And everybody, I think we only had like 10 people this year, so you get your little mini skein, and some people throw in extras and some don't, which is fine. But it's just a lot of fun to have that to open every morning. And I also had, that, like I talked about earlier, I had my Advent from Crystalsky hand dyed, and it was so nice to open that every morning. She threw in a bunch of peppermints, and there were some extras in there, and I moved them all into a special box, which again, I'll show you. Sorry about that. But once I got everything upstairs, I didn't want to go back down and get it. So anyway, okay, I'll just show you the two books that I got for Christmas. Well, one for Christmas and one before Christmas. The one I bought before Christmas, I bought it. My older son is trying to lose weight, and I told him if he gets a lot of weight off, I'll knit him something from this book, whatever he picks. And it's the Viking Knits books. I wanted this book, and I thought, well, that'll be a good excuse to get this book. It's got some really, I mean, it's not like, well, no, it's got some really pretty patterns in it, and some girl patterns and boy patterns, and I think a lot of them are unisex, but they have them sized. I like this one. It's called the Heart Sweater. Anyway, I think these little stitches, I don't know if they're duplicate or if you just knit them in, probably knit them in. And so it looks like little hearts. Oh, here's a better close-up picture of it. And I'm not going to show you every picture in this book, but it's got some really, really nice patterns in here. Oh, yeah, I wonder if this is a... Anyway, I think there's some hat patterns. Oh, yes. I love this. This cardigan. It's a night jacket. K-N-I-G-H-T. Night jacket. Got this all over cabling. Oh, I would wear that in a heartbeat. I love that. So, they have it for women. It's the Queen Cardigan. It's a little bit longer than I would do, but I do love those cabled sleeves. I probably would not knit it nearly this long. Those cabled puffy sleeves. Ooh, I'm all about that. I love a puffy sleeve. I don't care if they're in... I think they're kind of a thing right now, but I don't really care. I've always loved puffy sleeves. Anyway, the other book that I got for Christmas, I had on my wish list, and I was so happy to get it, is the Mr. Rogers Knitting the Neighborhood. It's got cardigan patterns. It's got the puppets. Let's see. Yeah, sweaters, puppets, accessories like scarves. Mr. McFeely's Speedy Delivery hat, blankets, Won't You Be My Neighbor blanket. Oh my goodness. Oh, and here's Mr. Rogers himself. Oh, I love that. Let's see. Mini cardigans. Wouldn't it be cute to have like a tree up and decorate it for Mr. Rogers, like in his birthday month or something? Huh. That's a plan. Let's see. I was going to find the Won't You Be My Neighbor? Yes. Sorry. Well, here we go. And this is just Knits and Pearls words. Won't you be my neighbor? That would be such a neat thing to give somebody. I should actually knit it for my next door neighbors because they're wanting to move away and I don't want them to. Here's the trolley blanket. Look at this. Oh, so cute. Anyway, there are a lot of really, really cute patterns in this book. And Mr. Rogers. I love Mr. Rogers. And, oh, Vlogmases. Did y'all watch Vlogmases? I get obsessed with them. I feel almost like crying when it's over at the end. Of course, I watched Nitty Natty of the Love and Stitches podcast. I watch hers every day. The Bakery Bears. Crazy Sock Lady. She didn't have one every single day, but I still watched Tailoress Studio. I don't know if y'all have ever watched her. Her whole look, her whole world seems so ethereal. She's got pink skin and blonde hair, and she just sort of, her clothes are always cloud-like. And she's so pretty. And even her appliances, I can't think of the brand of appliances. If I do, I'll put it in here. But I think they must be a British brand, and they're cream colored and kind of floofy looking. Anyway, everything about her is ethereal. Her life is not perfect. She doesn't try to pretend that it is, but she seems to pull it off with such grace. Anyway, I want to be her when I grow up. I watched her Vlogmas. I've discovered Little Wolf through Natalie of the Love and Stitches podcast, and I enjoyed her Vlogmas. Now I'm going back and I'm watching Slip Ginge, and he's a British boy that I found through Taylor of the Wool Needle Hands podcast. He is a ginger from England, and he has a knitting podcast that he just started, and then he did Vlogmas. His girlfriend is a crocheter, and I think her podcast is called Chunky Stitches, and then his mom has a podcast as well, which I haven't watched, but I might start watching her, and if I do, I'll link hers below as well. So that's why I didn't do a lot of podcasting. I cuddled up on the couch with the fire because we had a lot of cold weather, and I got to run my fireplace a lot, and I watched Vlogmas, and I knitted, and I just was cozy and enjoying the season and the decorations. And anyway, so on to my personal life. So if you're just here for the knitting, I guess now is the time for you to leave. But I'm just going to talk a few minutes about what I've done. So on to 1 week. So at the beginning of December, I know I told y'all that right after we moved into the house, about 6 weeks in, we had a leak in our ceiling. And I had to have a big place cut out and get the plumbing fixed and fix the leak and everything. And it was actually from the plumbing. The leak was caused by a block in a pipe. So it took a while to find somebody to come and fix it that either called back or wasn't going to charge an outrageous amount. So we got a guy that we know to have one of his guys come in and repair the holes. And he textured it. But then I said, I'll paint it. Kelby, our younger son, I said, we'd paint it and save us some money. Well, I didn't think about the fact that these ceilings are a little bit higher than any ceilings we've ever had. Now, they're not super high, but they're a couple of 3 feet higher than our old ceilings were. I've painted ceilings. It's not a big deal. Well, it's not the easiest thing, but it's not the end of the world. This nearly killed me. And Kelby was helping, and there were things Kelby did that I could never have done. He taped, and even on my stepladder, I couldn't reach up to tape. And he taped, and then he pulled it down, and when we have can lights, and then we have some speakers in the ceiling. And so wherever I slipped and hit it, he would come back in and peel off the paint because it came off easily. And we worked most of one day, and then we came back in the next day to fix places that we had missed or whatever. And I can still see places that don't look right when the lights are off, but we've got just a little light showing on it. We could not do any more. I don't think you can see it with all the lights on. I'm looking up. I'm not even in that room. But we did the best we could. And after that, I was just like, either we have to hire somebody to come in and touch it up or just leave it and deal with it. But that was done. So then the next week, which was still pretty early in November, I put out my Christmas decorations because it takes me 2 days. Being in a new house, I didn't know where I was going to put everything. And I actually did a video. The last video I did, if you want to go back and watch it, it's probably 20 minutes long. So if you're not interested in watching me tour all my Christmas decorations, I totally get it. But I get carried away when I'm talking about them. I didn't know where I was going to be putting everything because we were in the new house. And I have ideas for next year to improve it. But now I have an idea of where I'm going to put everything, and I am so happy with the way everything turned out. Anyway, so there was that. Then we had Thanksgiving, which was here, and it was just the people that live in my house, my husband, our sons, and my daughter-in-law. And then my daughter-in-law's mom and cousin came. Her dad had to work Thanksgiving Day, and then her sister and brother-in-law went to his families this year. So I cooked, and they brought green bean casserole and pumpkin pies, which was very helpful. My daughter-in-law made deviled eggs. But there are just all these foods that we love to eat every year, even if they're just a handful of people. Because I used to have an extended family, big extended family Thanksgiving every year. And everybody brought stuff. And there are all these foods that I want to eat. Broccoli, rice, and cheese. My dad always loved cranberries. And he also loved sweet potato casserole. And I make the Pioneer Woman cranberry sauce and have for quite a few years now. It's super easy and super delicious. I still make that. I still want the dressing that my grandmama always made. I want, what else do I make? My husband wants mashed potatoes. And so we do all this stuff. And so there's a lot of cooking. And I start prepping ahead. Like, I prepare all the stuff for the dressing. I chop up the vegetables and I saute them, bag them up, and refrigerate them. I make up the cornbread and break it up and put it in a baggie and refrigerate it. And all that until I'm ready to do it. I can make the cranberry sauce ahead quite a bit. The desserts, all that stuff, most of the stuff I can make up ahead. Or at least be prepped and ready to go on the day of or the day before. And I use a lot of crock pots. I have a roaster oven for the turkey, and I don't use it very often, once or twice a year, but it has a shelf up in my clothes closet that it sits on. It's worth it to have for that turkey, and that's what I use it for, and it's just amazing. Worth having it just for that one thing. 2 days after Thanksgiving, and by the way, we had a lot of fun. Sarah's mom ended up getting a hotel room, and they came up Thanksgiving morning, but they stayed through the weekend. They came over Friday late in the day, and we played games and ate leftovers, and then Saturday morning we all got up, except my husband, and we went to the Renaissance Festival. And our friend Mickey met us there, and we all hung out that day and just had the best time. I look forward to Renaissance Festival every year. And then Mickey came back home with us, and we hung out, mostly rested, and watched Christmas Vacation. And then the next morning we got up and went to worship, went to lunch together, and then Mickey came over for a while and went back home, but Sarah's mom and cousin went on back right after lunch that afternoon. And overall, Thanksgiving was really, really great. Went and saw my mom. I think it was earlier in the week. The place where she lives did a family night, so I went and we had a really, really nice time. And then, of course, we went into December. Now, one of the reasons that Christmas is so relaxing for me is that I do all of my shopping online. Now, I might go to Hobby Lobby or somewhere and pick out ornaments, but part of what I want to do is stay home and relax. So I do all my shopping online. And so I got to do that. Then the gifts came in. And I ended up only having to wrap 2 gifts this year. My husband loves wrapping, so he wraps everybody's gifts but his own. And then our younger son, Kelby, wrapped all of Chuck's gifts. And Chuck's birthday is 2 days before Christmas. So he did all of that for me. And all I had to do was help my older son wrap a couple of gifts for my daughter-in-law. And then Christmas, we stayed home because that was the weekend that we had the icy weather. It ended up not being, actually, it was freezing. It wasn't icy. But we stayed home, and we went to see my mom on the day after Christmas because Chuck, my husband, was off. Our older son, Logan, was off, and then Kelby. And so the 4 of us went up and saw Mom that day. And we had a really, really nice day. My brother and sister-in-law and nephews and niece met us there. So we exchanged gifts. We gave Mom her gifts. And then all of us except Mom, because she can't really leave anymore, we all went and had lunch together. And we hadn't been together in a very long time. So it was an emotional day, but a really good day for me. A really good day. We actually really hadn't done anything much since Daddy died. So it was a really good day for me. And then we came back home. And Sarah got off work, and we opened our gifts here on Monday night. So I don't mind delaying Christmas. I don't want to do it early. I don't mind delaying it. And then all that was left was New Year's, and it was just nothing. I mean, my husband worked, and so on Christmas Eve, I cleaned out my deep freeze, which I hadn't done in forever, and I reorganized it, and it was so great. I enjoyed it. It made me feel so good to get that done. And then New Year's Eve, I cleaned out, I descaled the coffee pots. Now, with my Ninja, you just put vinegar in it and you hit the clean button, and it takes an hour, and then you run clear water through it about 2 or 3 times, and then that's it. With the Keurig, you have to run the vinegar through, and it takes a while to get it all run through, and then you have to run at least 3 full things of water through that to get that vinegar taste out. Ugh, ask me how I know. So that took about an hour and a half total, and the whole time you're not doing stuff. You're just having to run the water through. But anyway, I got that done. I felt really good about it. I got part of the house clean, and then I kind of relaxed for the rest of the night. And then we started off the new year feeling kind of crummy. And now we're back to doing everything. I just had a really good time, but I missed podcasting, and I'm glad to be back. And I'm ready to get this year started off right. I want to talk to y'all more. I want to show more things. I want to finish more things. I'm kind of working on some ways of getting myself to do things more regularly. I feel like I'm a pretty organized person. I like organization, but I'm not super structured. I know that doesn't make any sense, but anyway, so I want to get more done and talk to y'all more in the new year. And, yep, that's it. So, until next time, knit on.